Alright, here you all go. Every All Hail King Julien episode ranked. This video is going to take ages to make, but thank you for currently sitting through like 8 seconds of it so far. Anyways, today we have every single All Hail King Julien episode, and I will place them all from the worst to the best. Obviously, I will be including the Exiled Season / Season 5. And another thing to mention is that, frankly, if I were to literally talk about every episode here, this video would be long enough to count as a feature film. So I'm actually going to just make a big section for the top 30 on this list. And then here is a quick little thing that I have to say about the other 48 episodes, including their placement and rating. Now, there are actually no bad episodes, and even the worst one is still decent, and so all of these episodes range from fairly decent to literally absolutely transcendent. Another thing is that from like 40th till 25th, I had a real tough time separating, and so if your personal favorite episode didn't make the list, please forgive me. This list is all just my opinion, and so maybe what you could do is comment down your top 5 favorite episodes, or maybe top 10, and I promise to respond to each and every one of them. And with that being said, let's jump right in. Yep, I'm as shocked as you guys are, but Bad Year Blimp was actually fantastic. Really think about it. Mort was a riot with trying to open Teemo's pod. Julien and Maurice were both really fun with the Russian space monkeys and trying to persuade them to take them back to Madagascar. Like, truly, the whole conflict of the episode for these guys was that when the monkeys left, they were going to give the airship a little engine failure, but Pancho accidentally blows the entire plane up and nearly kills everyone. Truly amazing. But what really got me with this episode was Clover. So in case you didn't read my little sayings about the other episodes beforehand, I found Clover to be a bit of a bitch in the first 5 episodes of Exiled, especially the 3rd and 4th, but she absolutely knocked this one out of the park. Seriously though, it was incredible for Clover to meet This Is Happening club, which is like a seminar lecture group, and actually feel appreciated there. Fred's dialogue was so good and not out of place with his character from the rest of the show. There was a sense of strong relatability with what he always said and the questions that he asked, and then when Clover was told to finally come up on the stage, she felt secure, safe, and loved. This was the episode that she truly needed, and it was amazing. There were even times where I thought that maybe she would be better off with Fred instead of completing her quest to save the kingdom. This used to be a solid 6 out of 10 for me, but now it's gone all the way up to an 8, edging on a 9. I can't believe that it's taking me this long to finally fall in love with this episode. Are you there, Frank? It's me, King Julien is overrated or underrated? I really don't know which to decide on. It's not as good as I remember it being, but you don't really find that many people talking about it. Who cares, it's still really great. The climax is easily the best part of this episode, and has probably some of the best action from the show in general. The religious aspect is really at play here. I loved how the episode opened with Julien's mixed beliefs about Frank getting the better of him, only for a fake Frank to come along and manipulate the entire kingdom. It's very Season 2, but even if you're not the biggest fan of this season, Are You There, Frank? It's Me, King Julien is such a hard episode to hate. It wasn't meant to be on this list. It literally just got on last minute, but screw it. Butterfly War is one of the most colourful and awesome episodes I have ever seen in television. This one has so much flavour and energy towards it, and that truly pays off with 20 minutes of absolute delight. It's so fast paced and quick, yet it feels like they actually took their time. This is an easy top 5 funniest episodes in this show as well. I laughed out loud at least 6 or 7 times. One of my personal favourite scenes in All Hail King Julien in general was when the entire kingdom thought that Willie had died, and then Julien cries on someone else's shoulder only to realise that it was Willie and he was still alive. So he awkwardly smiles and Clover just punches him in the face. Then Ted sings a really beautiful folk song, and then it turns into a hardcore concert and Ted just explodes. This all leads up to one of Maurice's best lines of all time. So many times I was just laughing from these incredible moments, and god, it's just all so great. I am so close to declaring this episode an all-time favorite. Yeah, there was absolutely no surprises putting this episode on the list. The Phantom of Club Moist just screams amazing. It genuinely feels like a smart indie piece that uses comedy to hide some of the darkest aspects of these characters. In spite of that, the episode manages to maintain lighthearted and enjoyable all throughout. It's an interesting commentary on the effects of fame and recognition, sometimes uncomfortably so. I Love Your Toes is one of the most subtly thematically appropriate songs in All Hail King Julien, and it's just such a banger. Speaking of which, there is surprisingly little wrong here. I mean, my only big problem was that some of the weird pacing towards the end felt a bit off, but if it weren't for that issue, then Phantom would have shot itself into the top 20 at least. But as it stands, you got the most satisfying episode in the entire show. What else is there to say? On the one hand, One More Cup is an incredible 20-minute examination on the effects of addiction and capitalism. But on the other hand, I'm not really as committed to this episode as a lot of other people are. Sure, it's really great and all, but one of the best episodes in this show? Really? Frankly though, there's not really that much wrong with this one. It starts off casual and fun, and that's pretty much it. All the characters are really fun, the plot is rock solid, the music, editing, and writing is all great. This was revolutionary for season 1, 2, and even 3, but the latter part of the show was filled to the brim with so many 9 out of 10s and even a couple of 10s. What I will say though was that this was the very first special episode amongst the bunch, and you guys are not gonna like what you're about to hear, but the second one was even better. Okay, bye! Oh my gosh, the Jungle Rooster is so damn great in nearly every way. It just upped its game so much, and I am so happy for that. Every character was incredible and all, but Julien absolutely stole the show for every friend that he was on scene. I loved his arc throughout the episode and how at the beginning he felt bad about giving Carl the rooster, and so he decides to make the bold decision to rescue it. And then he discovers all of the other roosters that were locked up and gets caught, but then the gang comes to save him. Say what you wish, but this was, in my opinion, the moment that Julien finally realized the importance of being king, and this was not a disappointing episode in the slightest. Easily one of the funnier All Hail King Julien episodes as well, just go watch it. Election is the pinnacle of twist villain reveals in all of All Hail King Julien. They just paced it out so perfectly. You know from the start that Doc Sugarfoot is odd in some ways, and then you figure out pretty early on that he's evil, but you don't fully understand who he is or what his motives are. Then they drop that character reveal on you so hard, and the aftershock is just so extreme. He serves as a legitimate major threat to the entire nation and is far and away the most evil character that All Hail King Julien has to offer. As for the rest of the episode, it's just so engaging and interesting to see which characters begin to slowly realize what Doc Sugarfoot is up to first, and how they try to figure out who he is. This episode has my attention 100% of the time, and I think that it's owed to by the snappy and the intense script that it was given. Overall, a unique and very well done episode that never ceases to amaze me. Now we head on to the 9 out of 10s, baby. I, Maurice is straight up one of the most underrated episodes in all of All Hail King Julien. It is a tour de force and was done to near perfection with the short amount of time that it was given. This is yet another episode that truly embraces Julien and Maurice's relationship. Maurice was given a wild but pretty understandable story. It was kinda tragic to find out who he was meant to be, and it was triumphant to see Maurice overcome his upbringing and become the person that we all needed from him. In terms of Julien's part of the episode, I thought that it was a great idea for that thing to happen to him, and sure, it was mostly great, but I guess that the interactions with him and Clover felt a bit awkward and rushed. Also, as necessary as it was, the fighting was a big no matter the situation. Same for the believe in yourself trope too, but still an amazing episode, and once again, the most overlooked episode in the bunch. Maybe. Unking Me is very, very good. I'm not even sure that I want to talk about this, but I'll try. It's shocking how good this episode is. I know that I don't shut up about Kodo, but man, he is just so threatening and violent, and it works. Mort has just got so much good chemistry with everyone, and it feels like they truly took advantage of that here. And also during the start of the Exiled season, the action is quick and spicy and is so phenomenal. Sage is great as always. King Julien, Clover, Maurice, the Kingdom, everyone is amazing. This was the perfect entry into the Exiled season in every way, and I am so happy that this episode, as important as it is, turned out this good. I'ma be dead straight here, I don't really have anything to say about King Julien. It's just a really rock solid episode. It's a complete ride over time. The Mad Horse Disease plotline slays me even now just thinking about it. Every character is at the top of their game. I mean, yeah, there isn't really anything to say about it. It's just an excellent episode that ended season 2 off really well. You know, out of every single episode in All Hail King Julien, the Wrath of Mordecai Khan definitely seems to be the one that everyone's most fussed over. Going into this marathon, I was sure that it would make the top 3, or at the very least top 5. But for some reason, this episode didn't really click with me in the exact same way that I was expecting. The first act is amazing and all, but truth be told that I felt like King Julien was way pushed off to the side. I'm okay when Julien isn't the main character, but this episode did it a little bit too much. Hell, I honestly found him a little annoying at parts throughout the episode, mostly in the middle. But that's pretty much it with the problems. Other than bits and pieces of Julien, this is incredible. Mordecai Khan is such a riot of a time. Smart Mort is an absolute gem of a character and probably one of my top 5 favorites in the entire show. I guess I'm just a sucker for every Mort character, man. The scene where the Mort Horde raid the kingdom and do the chant thing makes me want to get up and join them. To be perfectly straight, it's probably the single most epic moment in the entire show. Maybe not the best, but definitely the most epic. The other Julians are hilarious and were a shockingly great installment to the episode. Clover, Maurice, Mort, Timo, all of them were solid. It's the goddamn wrath of Mordecai Khan. It feels so refreshing to get an episode like Night Creatures that just blends All Hail King Julien and horror parodies so well. This was one of the episodes that really screams that these creators understand the show. Not for a second do I feel like I'm not watching All Hail King Julien, and the fact that they were able to mix all of that up with horror is incredible. I love the twist and how it isn't revealed in the last 2 minutes as you would think. They reveal it halfway through, which pulls up the intensity even higher, because now that you know who the Night Creature is, you feel even more invested in what the other characters might do when they figure it out. And then when they do figure it out, the twist gets backed up even further. They just went above and beyond with Night Creatures. It's funny, it's confusing, it's got everything that you could ever want out of an episode like this and more. The Enders here closed All Hail King Julien in a near perfect way. It never feels out of touch with what the show is all about. It all just feels so genuine. The first 2 acts are great and all, but their wedding scene was perfection. It was a great choice for the finale of the show to not necessarily focus solely on Julien as such, and instead it can base around Clover, and Julien's role in the story was supporting that. It just feels so right because that was one of the biggest lessons that Julien had learned from his relationship with Clover. He doesn't have to be the main character to be special as such, and the speech that he gives at the end just shines so bright to the point where I nearly got blinded by it. The nostalgia was off the rails here, and to be honest, this was all I could have hoped for out of a finale to my favorite TV show of all time. Holy crap, that scene where Maurice sacrifices himself for Julien made me cry so hard. But like seriously, this might actually be one of the most depressingly appropriate moments in the realm of animation. It just feels so real and earned. It was played out beautifully from the music to the aftermath. This event initially wrecks Julien, which felt so... I really don't even know the right word for this, it's great, but yeah, it was. And it's not just that. For the first time in the entire season, I really liked every character's part. Smart Mort, Timo, and Mumbot's chemistry worked so well, despite being stupid and beyond belief, and Sage's part was incredible. Seeing him have to come to grips with Kodo being an irredeemable villain and him trying to stop it was so sad. And the climax to this episode when Kodo's part presented just how evil he is so well. This episode is fantastic. How do you come up with a concept like this? How is it even possible? Spin Cycle is the greatest commentary on capitalism from this show. It isn't even close. Every single scene is fully dedicated to furthering this thrilling and intense premise which feels so effortlessly relatable. It falls off a little bit in the second half, but man, even when it falls off, it is still great. The writing is top tier, and that makes sense given the plot that we have. At one point, the gang are chatting about how stupid the citizens of the kingdom are for buying this fake story that the Entourage put out about recent pollution issues, and then Hector just comes in with a problem about a mango shortage. It's all just a very small moment in a big episode, but somehow it still sticks out as being one of the most raw moments out of them all. I'm not particularly the biggest Gigi fan out there, but she was great in this. It was actually interesting to see her originally pick propaganda over her viewers, but then come to realize that what she and King Julien were doing isn't right. It's really neat, and Julien goes through the same sort of arc. It just only takes a bit more of a sudden incident for that arc to initiate. I can't get enough of this episode, man. Go check it out if you undermine just how truly amazing this episode is. Blackboard Jungle might be the coolest episode out of all of them. I'm just so dumbfounded by the sequences here, like the break-in scene. God damn! I have watched this episode at least 10 times. Not once does it talk down to its audience. Not once is it boring or lifeless. It's just so fast-paced, but not at all does that affect the pacing. The big academic tournament was some of the most fun ever. It was hilarious and thrilling, and by the end it felt so tense. Julien's pull towards that trophy was sickening and terrifying, and it plays into the fall of addiction so realistically. The scene where Pancho was talking about gambling his thumbs and the lemurs talking about stealing the answers to the questions was so sharp and witty, and honestly one of my top 3 favorite scenes in season 6. What isn't there to love, man? This is easily a top 10 favorite episode in the show for me, even if it's only number 15. I cannot believe it. The day after yesterday is still so energetic, so vibrant, so exhilarating, so intense, so climactic, so amazing. I guess I could talk about literally anything here because there really is so much to mention. I love nearly everything. Almost every scene is full of brilliance. Almost every aspect actually works. I did put it lower than its superior sequel, but that should not by any means take away any possible chance of me still not loving this. The day after yesterday is near perfect. I love how epic this feels and even looks too. I mean, the visuals and music here are off the charts. They made sure that every character got their very own moment. The giant battle scene was total chaos, but beautiful chaos, and this all leads up to a breathtaking final moment that the entire season had been building towards, and then black. That is cinema. Easily an all-time favorite, no doubt. Wow, what a surprise this was. King Julien Superstar feels like the perfect episode for die-hard all-hail King Julien fans. For other people, it might be more of a hit-or-miss situation, but for people like us, man, this episode was great. It is without a doubt the most well-edited episode in the show, which is a great touch with how it also has the best use of music in the show. The last thing that I want to touch on is the message. I love how this show, and especially this episode, presents itself as like your older brother or sibling that gives you some pretty questionable advice, but as much as you hate it, it's true. You can be yourself, you can be true, but people might not like that. And that's okay. Amazing episode. Oh, and don't even get me started on the Puss in Boots cameo. The never-ending Clover never ceases to amaze me. It honestly feels so immersive and warm, yet so twisted and vicious. Julien is a terror in this episode. From the start, he's so jealous of Maurice and Ted and the position that they've been given in Clover's story scenario, and Julien was placed as a lowly squire. He tries to remain happy and not the center of attention, but obviously finds it hard because, well, that's who he is. Julien has, and will always be the center of attention. But in Clover's story, she is the main character. However, Julien doesn't understand that. I've always felt so undeniably moved by the scene where the four of them are all sitting around the fire and Julien and Clover spark up a big massive argument, all for Julien to run off. He finds Nurse Phantom, an old friend of his, and they have a really incredible chat. Julien realizes then and there that Clover views herself as the hero of her story, like how Julien views himself as the hero of his story. It's such a powerful thing to present this message and theme of identity by using Clover's literal fictional imagination. Everyone's on top of their game as usual. Man, I am just so in love with this one. The All Hail King Julien show is maybe the most observant episode of the bunch. It's an amazing social commentary on the state of humanity at this stage and why we need to stop watching YouTube and Netflix and start interacting with one another. Gigi was annoying. I mean, that's pretty much about it. This was one of the first episodes that made me realize just how surprisingly smart this show is with its themes and ideas that it displays. Julien's monologue towards the beginning is arguably the flat-out best in the entire show. You'll know it when you see it. The episode presents the horrors of reality in some of the most insanely genius ways that I have ever seen in my life. I consider this and the Neverending Clover to be equals in quality as a whole. I really can't decide which one is better. But I like the All Hail King Julien show even more, so yeah, I guess it goes a smidge higher. This one is just the total package. It's funny, it's witty, it breaks the fourth wall like 17 times, come on! For some reason, even though no one else feels the same way, I've always felt so drawn in by Diapers Are the New Black. How does no one realize that this is an exhilarating, hilarious, incredible episode while also having a genius commentary on capitalism and equality? It's just so fun and entertaining. I love how the episode starts off with like a mystery sort of thing, but then turns into an all-out fashion war. They get across the themes through the hilarious comedy, and they weave it all in perfectly. The best part of this episode, though, has gotta be the crime case mystery fiasco. The interrogation scene and the one with the mic afterwards are both excellent. My only actual problem here was that when Mort died and revived himself a bunch of times, it was funny and all at first, but they overplayed it a bit too much. But far out, man, this is just a near perfect episode. It's everything I could possibly want out of an All Hail King Julien episode and more. God, I love Carmageddon. For some reason, this feels like one of the only episodes in the show that I feel overly comfortable giving it a solid 9 out of 10 score, or whatever the score the other one's got. I can just watch it and think, oh yeah, that was good. 9 out of 10. This one is just so effortlessly great. My only problem with it was that Carl's big finale from his part just felt like it resulted in another regular fail episode with not really that much climactic pull, but hey, that's literally my only problem. Grandpa Mort is a phenomenal villain and would have been one of the top 2 best in the show if he just got more screen time, but I'm okay with him just being a one-off villain because it leaves more suspense and mystery to the character, which is obviously great. I loved the twist at the end where Julien saw through Carl's plan from the beginning and reverse defeated him. Maurice, Clover, and Mort were obviously great, and yeah, this is just a really amazing episode. One more thing, at the end of the episode when that rat nearly flipped his poster around the wrong way, it might have actually been the most that I ever laughed in the entirety of season 6. Spectacular. The Panchurian candidate is a psychological enigma that you slowly unravel as time passes. It's far and away the single scariest episode in all of animated television, and I don't really think it's that hard to see why. The flashback scene with Pancho and Uncle King Julien is perfect in every way. It builds up the tension so nicely, and the payoff will actually scare you if this is your first time watching it, and maybe even more so. I've never been much of a sound fanatic when it comes to cinema, but the way that this episode presented itself through the noises and music has haunted me for years. It's truly inspired. I made a video about this a while back, but with the new lenses of the stuff that I uncovered there, going back to the Panchurian candidate is just beyond terrifying. It's also easily got the most creative plot in the show, coming up with a premise that's twisted and evil yet believable, and that is the scariest kind of horror. God man, this just isn't an episode that you can watch and enjoy. This is an episode that you experience. Where do I even begin? For Whom the Bell Gods Toll is so damn close to perfection that it kills me. Literally my one problem was that Clover wasn't in this episode due to content restraints, but who cares, she was kind of annoying for the first part of Exiled. Mort and Mordecai's fight is so intense and so satisfying. The script as well was so cool, man. Every line of dialogue, every line. Maurice and the Snails was the funniest crap ever, but Julien, god damn, Julien's plotline straight up the funniest and Exiled. I really mean that. The court case where Julien was tried for whether or not he was a worthy king is some straight up 11 out of 10 crap. I really don't even know what else there is to say, man. It's just so amazing. Pineapple of My Eye has always been stuck inside me somewhere special. Wait, what did I just say? This is a true masterpiece in nearly every way, and was the very first masterpiece amongst all Hail King Julien in general. For a while, this was in my top 3 best episodes in the show, and even now I still view it as incredible. This episode is artistic with how it establishes Julien's position. He always doubts himself of that he would mess up, and that's no fairy tale or nothing. Julien feels intimidated by the idea of the expectations of all the other kings inside this fruit, but he feels genuine comfort when the pineapple gives him advice about stuff, as bad as it all is. And by the end of the episode, he overcomes that intimidation and fear of disappointment, and becomes a king that is able to make decisions for his people. And that plays in beautifully with an incredible mystery which puts Maurice, Clover, and Mort at the top of their game. This is pretty much perfect in so many ways, and you need to go check it out. I am never going to stop feeling so overwhelmed by the immense amount of subtle suspense and horror from the Red Room scene. The Panchurian candidate may be the scariest overall episode, but Dance Dance Resolution is so much more powerful. I really wasn't expecting to go in and feel so sad for Julien. The effect that his parents' disappearance had on him over the years was so exceptionally fleshed out and tragic. I would watch him try to reclaim his childhood and make up for the years of his youth where his parents weren't there, and I would begin to tear up a little, because you simply can't change that. You can't make up for it. And Julien's refusal to accept that pushed him to lose trust in his friends for a period in time, and the dream sequence that I've endlessly praised was such a terrifying and awfully raw way to express his feelings. And then when his parents don't even show up to his dance recital that he remade from when he was a kid, what happens? Maurice, Clover, and Mort are there for him. They sit in the seats that were meant to be for Julien's family, but then Julien comes to realize that those guys are his family. It's so beautiful. Dance Dance Resolution is an actual masterpiece. Oh my god, so many people are talking about One More Cup and how it's such a genius masterpiece when the sequel is basically better in every single way. The way that coffee is used to display capitalism at its finest is so creative and perfect, but One More Cup Part 2 is one of the best comments on capitalism I have ever seen from an animated piece of media. Slightly below Spin Cycle, but come on, it's Spin Cycle, and this is One More Cup Part 2. Bruce is such a downright asshole, but he is a phenomenal asshole. He is the most fun I've ever had with an All Hail King Julien villain ever. I love how Carl joins the good guys solely because he wants to enter his older brother and his corporate enterprise. I love it when him and Julien team up every now and then. Their chemistry matches one another so well. I love Momo, Mort, Clover, Pancho, Trent, and Kipper. Everyone is at their absolute prime. I love the heist mission at the end and that final scene where the gang watches all of the Bruised by Bruce kiosks crash down, symbolizing victory. There's not really anything bad about this episode, everything just plays out so nicely. I love the original One More Cup and all, but that just feels like a lazy draft version compared to this. One More Cup Part 2 is the capitalism masterpiece that we finally got out of the show. I am this close to giving Out of the Fusipendant Into the Fire a 10 out of 10. It is truly spectacular in every sense. Just like For Whom the Bell Gods Told, since Maurice's not in this one, I simply cannot give it that rare score that otherwise it 100% deserves. Every moment slaps, every second is at least amazing. The fight scene with Grimy Mort and Mort is one of the best fight scenes I have ever witnessed in cinema. Mort's brain was haunting yet vibrant. Clover is such a selfless character, y'all. Her in this episode made me forget for a split second that she was kind of annoying earlier in the Exiled season. The heist with Julien, Carl, Uncle King Julien, Ted, and everyone else was actual perfection. Amy is unlikable, and that makes for such an engaging and enjoyable character to watch. Every character on screen at all times were as good as they get. The script was tight and didn't waste any time whatsoever. The premise in general was just so surprisingly creative. It is on the edge of being a 10, but as you may already be able to guess, these final 2 episodes were indeed able to break that margin. The Day Before Tomorrow is the endgame of All Hail King Julien. I cannot name a single thing actually wrong here. It is beautiful with how it expresses Julien's weakness and seeing him overcome that. The moment where everyone kneels before him is the most utterly impactful moment in the entire show. He has united everyone under one nation, and now that everyone is able to work together, they can at last get their kingdom back. And they do. Julien becomes king again and life goes back to normal. But Pineapple talking about the aftermath of the War of the Beasts is also top tier cinema. And after watching this episode, you kinda get the idea that the show could have very well ended here. I mean, of course there would be gaps, but the season concludes so well that if this show wasn't as good as it was, then I would argue that The Day Before Tomorrow is like the series finale of All Hail King Julien, and season 6 is kinda like an epilogue. This is where Julien is finally able to see after all of these years that he is the one true king of Madagascar. And yet, this isn't even the best episode of All Hail King Julien. Let's be honest, you already knew what number 1 was going to be before you even clicked on the video. Who Arted is the most raw, depressing, gut-wrenching piece of cinema that I have ever seen in my entire life. Anything that I do have to say about this episode would be an understatement. I could call Who Arted a sensational masterpiece that throws away every law of what animation can accomplish, and that still wouldn't do it justice. It takes everything that made All Hail King Julien special and cranked it up to 400. From the exceptional cinematography to the haunting music that overwhelmed me, to the voice performances of the century, to the perfect pacing, to the monumental directing, to the powerhouse of a script. Everything is perfect here. It's able to manage having such a powerful and mature plot while also maintaining All Hail King Julien throughout it all. The episode starts off fairly lighthearted and joyful, right before descending into the mad jealousy of our main character. It just locks you in such a perfect headspace for every individual character. No one shown here is unnecessary or boring. Every single person has a unique part to play that all leads up to one of the most evil and powerful moments in the medium of animation. Elliot Owen and James Wooten are my favorite writer-director duo from this show, and they absolutely knocked it out of the park with this one. It deals with so many different themes so effortlessly, and they all fit together in a way that grabs the audience's attention and doesn't let go, even after you're finished watching. I've got a full video planned on Who Arted, but for now, it is so easily the greatest All Hail King Julien episode, and to be perfectly honest, it might be one of the greatest works of art I have ever seen in my life. Go watch it and be overwhelmed in a way that so few things could ever accomplish. And that is every All Hail King Julien episode ranked. Okay, well, really the top 30, but I did rank every episode technically, so scuff it, I'll say what I want. I usually have pretty different tastes compared to most other people, so maybe comment your top 5 favorites, or maybe even your top 10 like I mentioned earlier. I will check all of them. Anyways, thank you for watching till the end. Goodbye.